Welcome to the universe.
Welcome.
Yes, the universe. Yes, for all of you who maybe have missed our universe class just the other day. Maybe you had another class. Maybe you're out trick-or-treating, for example. Well, speaking of trick-or-treating, we have, well, a small trick for you guys today because, yes, we are doing the universe Halloween version.
Halloween version? Oh, that sounds fun.
Yes. And as you guys see, yes, we have our jack-o'-lantern over here. And of course, as you guys saw, our universe changed colors. You guys have any Halloween plans of some sort? No? Any trick-or-treating out there? No?
Dressing up as
No?
anything.
Dressing up Spider-Man, Iron Man, Wonder Woman? Yeah. So, today, of course, we asked you, and we're doing the universe. But the universe, a strange question is, why are we talking about Halloween? Well, the question for all of you out there, of course, is, well, what is actually October 31st?
You just said it, Halloween, right?
I think I just said it for all you guys, and I think all of you know today that, yes, it is Halloween.
Halloween.
And Halloween, of course, is a holiday for the ghosts, maybe?
Maybe.
Or maybe it's, well, something like this.
Oh.
Yes. Like
right.
all of you know out there, right? I think all of you are wearing your Spider-Man costumes or like your Wonder Woman or some type of action figure. But yes, you guys, of course, dress up. You also have the pumpkin or your jack-o'-lantern, yes? And you guys also have down here, right? My favorite candy, those yellow corn-looking things.
Candy corns.
Yes. And down here, since all of you guys are here today, I'm assuming that you didn't have time to go out Halloween and trick-or-treating because, of course, it's very important that you wear a mask when you go out to Halloween.
Unfortunately, yes.
However, well, the question is, what actually is Halloween?
Okay.
So I did give you guys some hints, right? And you guys are thinking, oh, well, that's an easy question, Ryan, because I already know what Halloween is.
Yeah,
Yes.
trick-or-treating, dressing up. Yeah.
Dressing up, doing all that fun stuff, right? So like these kids back here, I'm sure you guys, well, are thinking of dressing up, going out to your friend's house. But the thing you look forward to is, of course, trick-or-treating.
Yes.
And during this, well, Halloween season, you guys also have an image that, well, it is, well, kind of welcoming the ghosts or welcoming the dead, the ancestors, for example. But we also have other people who, yes, like to party.
Festivals.
Party, yes, festivals, exactly. So they have like harvest festivals, of course. And also we have here, right? Well, Halloween is also New Year's Eve.
Eve. You just said Halloween.
Possibly. But you know, guys, here we have, well, we typically do 4 questions for you guys. We do a Kahoot for you, but since you don't have the Kahoot time, well, I'll give you guys about 5 seconds to think about the answers. What is Halloween for? It's Halloween.
I never thought of it as like welcoming ghosts.
Really?
Well, I thought we were becoming the ghosts.
Possibly. Well,
Which one?
well, which one do you guys think it is? Yes, I think you guys have your answers right. Okay, I'll give you guys another 2 seconds. 2, 3, 2, and 3, 2, 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is all of them.
Even New Year's Eve and Harvest Festival.
Hey, trick-or-treating, welcoming ghosts, Harvest Festival, and New Year's Eve. All of you thinking, what in the world?
That doesn't sound right.
Right. Well, Halloween, of course, is a very special day, maybe for you or maybe for not some, but Halloween, back in history, looks something like this. Ooh. See all these people dressed up. Oh my goodness. I think they're gonna go out trick-or-treating, right? And you guys right, you guys can see, right? They're wearing masks and they have their capes on, for example. Maybe they're making Halloween trick-or-treats, for example.
You need to get glasses, Ryan.
And look, the sword.
That's not a sword.
He has a sword in his hand. I didn't notice that it was a sword. And look, pretending to be maybe a nurse or a maid, for example. Down here, I don't know. Maybe they're travelers. We don't know.
They look normal to me.
But this is Halloween back in our history.
Huh. Really?
Because most of you are thinking, why?
Yeah, why?
Why? Why is this history? Why is this part of history? I don't think that's right. Why is there people that are not dressed up and looks like they're having a good time, like it's a party?
Yeah.
I think all of you are thinking out there. Well, let you in on a little secret. Well, all of this Halloween tradition happened here.
In Europe.
In Europe. Yes, totally took the words out of my mouth. All the way over there in Europe. Yes, I don't know where you guys are. Hopefully it's close, nearby, but it happened here.
Where in Europe? I am lost.
All of you guys point your fingers. Oh, I think it's here. Oh, I think it's there. I think it's here. I think it's here. Here. Yes?
Anywhere.
You decided in your place? I give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. And yes.
I think it's there.
You pointed exactly where I wanted you guys to point because it's here.
Huh. I guess we're a bit closer, but I'm still lost.
Did you guys, someone blink? Someone blink? Yes? Well, the area that we're going to look in today is here.
Oh, okay.
And this area here, you guys know, of course, nowadays you see in the backgrounds is France, for example. And even if you've been to France, for example, down here in this area, Spain, and then over here, this area here is also, well, part of Europe. But I thought Halloween was an American tradition.
Right. Me
Right.
too. I lived in America, and I thought it was from America.
Well, most of you probably didn't know that, of course, during these days, well, it actually looked more like this. As you guys see names that you've never seen before, of course, we have like Celtica, we have Belgica, or Britannia, and
Right.
well, you know, Germania, kind of maybe.
Germania,
Germany, maybe? I'm not exactly sure.
Germany.
I'll let you on in the secret. It's a secret.
Uh-huh.
In this area, what we say is Central Europe, and in, well, Central European times, we'll say, we had the people, of course, we make this a little short here, the Celts.
Celts.
Some of you may be in America, for example, you know, the basketball team, the Celtics, for example. It does come from that name. However, today we're going to use Celts.
Okay.
Okay?
Celts.
So Celts and the Celtic people, for example. It is with the C, so just pardon that for now. But the Celts, during those days of ancient civilization, as we say, because we don't actually know when it actually begun, because over 2,000 years, and maybe longer than that, they actually had a lifestyle that we didn't know about, and that lifestyle will kind of look something like this. Yes, a naked gentleman without a shirt, holding a surfboard, and I think she's waiting to go on a date.
Well, that's kind of like us.
Huh? Well, we'll say the Celts during these days, of course, gentlemen and the women as well. Well, what's important to know is that during these days, of course, they needed to survive, right?
Right.
And the way they survived, of course, is you and I maybe don't know nowadays as we go to the supermarket to buy, you and your parents go to the supermarket to buy food, for example, right? You buy all those candies and ice cream, like me. But during these days, of course, they didn't have a supermarket. They didn't have an airport. They didn't have cars. They didn't have trains. They didn't have any type of transportation to go anywhere. So what they did, as you guys know, is, of course, make their own food.
Oh, right next to their house.
Right. So most of the time, the Celts, and of course, with a lot of the ancient civilizations, you know that they did a lot of, yes, farming. Farming and agriculture. So not like today we can go to the market, buy stuff, and then just use it, but they needed to grow things, and over a long period of time, because if I plant an eggplant seed, for example, I can't eat eggplant tomorrow.
Right. It's going to take time to grow.
Right. So during these days, the Celts, will say, and the Celtic people, of course, well, needed to know what season was important for them in order to have food over however long period of time.
Right.
And time was also another factor. So what's important to them during these days to know whether it was summer or if it was winter. And you and I know nowadays, of course, well, it's summer, I can wear a t-shirt and shorts, for example. Or if it's winter, I can wear, you know, like I have to wear warm clothes, for example. But the Celts And the Celtic people knew this through, well, not magic, but this was their magic that they used.
Huh. I'm not sure what that is.
Looks like a cracked stone to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a side of a house.
Mm-hmm. However, this, as you guys look very close and you see, this is the way, we'll point here and there, that the Celtic people used to know when the seasons were, because they knew that secret of the, yes, the Julian Calendar.
The Julian Calendar.
And this, well, we'll say Julian Calendar, for example, of course, well, was a very actually important piece of, well, history during those days for the Celts, because, well, they knew when November 1st was.
November 1st?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what's so special about November 1st?
It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Yes,
your
yes. It's my birthday. Yes, 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 yes.
Why?
Mhm,
Every day is your birthday.
Every day is my birthday, yes. But as we see during these days, well, they needed to farm, and eventually they actually needed to find a system of, well, how to actually tell when that season would kind of start and end.
Right. That's important to harvest.
And why it was so important, well, to know this date here, well, other thing also important was to know this date as well. And this date, as you guys know nowadays, is, yes, Halloween, where you guys go dress up and trick-or-treat everything. In history, it was known as New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Wait. Is it New Year's Eve in the end of December?
Yeah.
Right?
December 31st. Yeah. That's what I remember.
Actually, closer to my birthday. That's confidential information. But yes. This was New Year's Eve, and it's very important. That was what Halloween was before. And, well, New Year's Eve and all of the other conversation we had before, how are they all linked to, well, each other? Well, all of you guys do know that this was Halloween.
Okay.
And the way, well, the Celtic people figured it out, well, because New Year's Eve, we say welcoming ghosts. Do you guys welcome ghosts nowadays? Yes, Halloween? You say, yes. Hey, come over. My dead Frankie person from, I don't know, from Europe. Come on over. No? Well, welcoming guests, they say back during the Celtic days, we say is, well, welcoming guests, October 31st was the day where both, well, we'll say both, real people like you and I, and the ancestors and ghosts would be able to, well, interact with each other, we'll say.
Okay, so it's kind of like a spiritual day where we get to see our ancestors.
Yes. And this here, we say New Year's is linked to the harvest festival because, as you guys know, they did farming. And as you know as well, that November 1st date comes around, you know that in November, if it's in the European areas, of course, it gets a little bit cold, so maybe it ends the harvest festival, so it's like a festival for everyone. Yes.
So,
But yes. Right. And you also know, of course, welcoming guests, right? If you're going to welcome guests, you also need to give them candy.
Of course. How can we forget?
No.
No.
Well, trick-or-treating back in those Celtic days, of course, it kind of, will say, escalated. Escalated because it started with, well, a few kids going to the neighbor's yard, taking the fence off the hinges, and then running away with it. But later on, it became into a more, well, we'll say like, rebels, basically, kind of the outcasts. They would take the fence, they would go and beat it up, for example. So they got a little bit creative when they went to the houses. Before they were actually going to go and vandalize something, for example, they asked, well, should I do a trick or a treat, for example? And of course, well, the idea was that they did, well, more of a trick, or to get a treat. Sometimes it was money, or sometimes it was maybe food, because of course this trick or treat was actually done in the past by, of course, the poor.
Okay. Right.
But with all of this, of course, as you guys know, we have, yes, and hopefully all of you guys believe me now, because this was Halloween back in history. It was a celebration of that harvest festival. It's gonna signify actually when that, well, maybe we can't harvest anymore. And as we look a little bit closer into this picture of, yes, our people having a good time with each other, enjoying Halloween as we typically do in the past, if you were a part of the Celtic family.
Of course. Yes, me.
And as you guys see, and you guys can all wear your Spider-Man costumes or Spider-Woman costumes, we always like to welcome you to the Celtic Halloween. And this is where all of Halloween started.
Right.
But I thought we were going to talk about the universe.
Yeah.
Why don't we even talk about the universe? Well, this is their universe. I want to be part of their universe. I don't have to worry. I could be part of the party. But when you think about the Celtic people, as you saw that stone, right? You think, well, how do the people know actually the dates, for example?
Right. Yeah. Like November 1st, October 31st.
It's pretty, if I didn't have my smartphone, for example, I wouldn't be able to do it. But the question is, well, of course, how do you actually measure a year?
Right.
If you can't tell the date, can't tell the years, for example, what are you going to do?
Yeah, how did they know that it was a New Year's Eve?
What would you guys do out there if you guys had to like, kind of measure a year? Would you guys like, hey, Mom, what year is it? What time is it? Well, as you guys think of your answers, well, we'll give you a couple solutions, maybe. I think most of you actually did this back here. You collected some rocks, you wrote something in the sand, you counted some of these flower petals, or actually some of you got a tattoo with my name engraved on it.
With your name? Or you mean like the number of days?
So we all did this, right? All of you guys, that's the way you would count if you were the ancient people, right?
Right, maybe like stacking stones is a pretty good idea.
But if we think of the years, right, now is, well, 2020. Hopefully all of you guys are in 2020 with me watching. If you're there in the future, 2040, 2030. I might be here or I might not be here. But when you think of who actually invented the years first, that's the question of who actually invented the years. First people to think of, well, this year we're going to start with year 1 and year 2. And we're already on year 2020.
Right.
I don't know, Toko. Anyone think of the years? Who started the years?
I remember in 2020 years before, I invented the years first.
That was you. I remember that. Well, these people would like to welcome to you and to invented the years first war. These people. The Egyptian people.
Okay.
No. Wait. I thought you guys were thinking, yes, it was maybe the Japanese people. No, wait a minute. No, I thought it might have been that ghost that was in that last picture back there. Wait a minute.
Right.
I thought it would possibly be my pet. Yes, my pet monkey. I know I left him somewhere. It was the years decided by a monkey, for example.
They are smart.
Well, I'll give you that 4 selection answer. I think you guys already had the first one. I think it was Egyptian, because that was the first answer.
Well, they did make the pyramid.
Well, we think about, right, Halloween, all these different things. So maybe it actually could be
the ghosts. Well, the ghosts are capable of anything.
3 seconds to answer. Yes, we have 3, 2, and 1. The answer is the Egyptian people.
Egyptian people.
And
so they were right first.
Yes. So as we look a little bit further into the Egyptian area, you guys know, of course, well, the Egyptian people, of course, lived here.
Where?
Here, right there. You don't see them here, right here.
Map.
think all of you guys aren't. Yeah, it's a touch. You guys can touch. It's a touch screen. Yes, a touch screen.
I'm taking
yes,
your face.
yes. Okay, yeah. Point a little bit to the left, right. There it is. You got. Yeah, you got. There it is. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, in this area. And as you guys know, of course, well, the Egyptian people, of course, did come from Egypt, but more specifically, Mesopotamia. However, of course, Egyptian people did run into a little bit of trouble, as we say. Of course, well, Egyptian people, like a lot of the ancient people, of course, lived off of farming and they needed crops, for example. But one thing, of course, the Egyptian people did struggle with, well, was it the volcanoes?
Oh, like in Hawaii.
Like Hawaii, yes, like where I'm from. If some of you are watching this and you didn't get a chance to see me. Or was it, well, of course, a storm or a cyclone or a hurricane of some sort, right?
Oh, very dangerous, yes.
Recently in the news, possibly from global warming, we have, of course, maybe was it a flood? Or the question here, was it, that tons of rain?
Rain's not too bad.
Right.
No rain, no rainbow.
So they're farming and they needed to do agriculture, for example. And when that question is, of course, well, what did they actually struggle with during those days?
Well, if they were counting years with stones, then if the storm comes, then they're gonna fly everywhere. So that's gonna be pretty bad.
Possibly. Or they could just be walking along a volcano and all of a sudden, whoa!
That's gonna be pretty scary as well.
Well, the Egyptian people, they, of course, did struggle with this. And you guys know, of course, the weather is so unpredictable. It is flooding.
Flood in Egypt?
Of course, in Egypt, you guys have an image, of course, that it looks something like the desert, for example, right?
Yeah.
And you guys see, of course, camels is the image, the pyramids, for example, as well. And you guys also know, yes, the snake
Looks
river.
like a snake to me. No.
Yes, all of you guys know out there. Yes, it is the Nile River.
Nile River.
The longest river in the world, of course. The longest river means that, well, it goes for, as you guys see, miles and miles, right? This is upstream, and it goes all the way downstream. And as you guys know, of course, that the Nile has a very special characteristic to it. And why do we say that? Not because of its length. Well, as we said, flood. Well, eventually, when it rains in the upstream areas, because it's so long, it starts to flood days and maybe years or maybe months or maybe thousands of years later.
Whoa.
And it looks something like this.
Whoa.
But the one thing that the Egyptians, of course, struggled with was they didn't know when actually this would happen.
Right. That's not that good.
So how did they actually try to, well, predict this, well, phenomenon, we'll say? Well, they called this period of days the dark days.
Right, because they don't know when it's going to happen.
But of course, the dark days was good because it would bring all these minerals down into the desert of Egypt here. And of course, it would help them with, of course, cultivating plants, for example. But however, the Egyptians, of course, were not that satisfied because they said, of course, it's good to know, when, it's good to have the dark days, but it's very difficult to predict.
Right.
So they want to be the predictors. So, of course, what did they do? That's the question here is, well, how did they actually find how to predict everything? Was it stars? Did they just decide to dance, do maybe like a rain dance, for example? Did they decide to flip a coin, for example? Or did they try and, well, maybe just got sick of it and just decided to take a nap? And dream. And dream like our philosophers did. Yes. Well, I'll give you 4 answers to choose from. I already gave you 10 seconds before. I will give you 3, 2, and 1. Yes, the answer is, all of you guys guessed it right, is
Dreams.
Dreams.
Stars?
Stars. Wait a minute. They don't have any scientific materials. They don't have any equipment. How are they going to just stand there and just look at this?
Right.
You guys
They
see
don't have
anything?
telescopes.
Well, we'll call our Egyptian friends over here. Hey guys, so How did you guys actually look at the stars and kind of find and predict stuff? I think you guys are like some type of magicians, for example. Yeah? No. Well, the Egyptians told us this story here. As they asked him, you look at the sky, you can't see anything. Maybe someone has bad eyesight like me. But they told me, well, of course, the Nile River, as they found, and they already knew that, it starts to flood. It does take a lot of time.
Right.
So I asked him, so you guys are looking at the sky. I'm standing here. We're looking at the river. I have no idea how you're going to measure that. Not at all.
They were looking for a connection.
Well, they said, well, look over there. Look where? Look over where?
Over there.
Look over there. Right. More stars.
No.
I told my Egyptian friends, I said, come on. You guys, stop pulling my leg. Well, they said, look a little bit closer. I said, okay, I'm looking. Oh, wow.
Ooh, to the east sky.
And they said, oh, it's a bright star. I was like, oh my goodness.
What
it's
a
bright star.
Though?
So what am I going to do with the bright star? Well, he said, you just wait. 70 days later. 70 days later, this is what happened during our Egyptian time. And they said, well, hey, take a look. 70 days later, that once desert, that Nile River flooded. How did you predict that? I asked him. Well, I just showed you. I was like, well, I didn't see anything. He said, well, you again, Ryan looked at the east. And when you were looking at the east as well, you saw that typical sun start to come up over the horizon. You noticed something above. Yeah, but just looking at that, can't really tell anything. Well, he said, well, by looking at this star. Why was it so famous? Well, because it helped them create that year that you guys know, because, well, it came up during that particular time from the east. And that 70-day process, they were able to stretch that and find when, of course, the flooding would happen. And this star become very important for the Egyptians. And this star we'd like to welcome today is, yes, Sirius.
So when they saw the Sirius star, 70 days later, the flood will happen.
Yes.
Okay.
And this flood, of course, is at 70 days later. But, of course, they were able to predict that every flood occurs after 365 days.
Oh, 365 days. Every year.
So they predicted that. And this 365 days, which all of you guys know, well, is a year.
Right.
That you guys know. But the question, so you know what a year is like, so how are they actually going to count the days?
Right, yeah, like where did the days come from?
And I asked him, so how do you count the days? How do you count the days? I was so excited to tell. And he said, well, look at the star. Wow. Again? Well, actually, how they predicted the days? Well, of course we have Sirius, but I said, come on, guys, give me more examples. And they said, well, of course, the sun as well was something they would consider, but other things as well as maybe the moon. Yes, the moon behind me, as you guys see. Yes, or maybe they just got sick and tired of telling me already. They said, well, maybe they will just dream it up again. Daydreamers.
Right. So what did they observe next to look for days?
I don't know. I just gave up already. I don't even know. Yes. So as you guys know, of course. Well, I'll give you 3, 2, and 1. The answer is for all of you guys there. What did the Egyptians look at? They looked at the sun.
The sun.
It wasn't the stars this time. Okay, so I'm going to look at the sun, and that's what the sun is. So I said, well, let's take a look at the sun and let's break it down.
Right.
Have you guys ever broken down the sun before? No.
It's a little bit too far.
It's a little far. It's a little big. I don't think you guys can do anything. You said, wait a minute. We're the masters of creation about everything in the universe. Everything that you know, of course, well, of course, leave it to us because we are the architects of the... Yes!
Huh. What could that be?
They made a statue.
Statue of what?
I have no idea what it is. I said, what is this? Well, guys, can't you see? Of course, the sun is shining and it's casting a shadow here. Well, of course, all of you guys know that it is Nomon.
Nomon. Huh, what is a Nomon?
Right. It just looks like a stick in the ground, for example.
Right.
Well, because I know all the answers just today, it looks like something like this. So, of course, as you guys see, right, that the sun, when we go to different areas, of course, in Egypt, it goes from the east to the west, and when it casts this shadow over here, you guys can see that it casts its shadow down here, right?
Huh.
Once again, as the sun moves over here, we see that it moves in the direction of the clock.
Right. The shadow's moving clockwise.
And this ancient artifact that they had for me, they showed that it looked something like this.
Whoa.
And this here, of course, when that sun would go over, it would be separated in 12 different parts, and it'd be able to tell them what time it was during the day. Be able to split it up. So, of course, you guys would know, of course, how long was, that day, for example, or typically that's what they would use.
Right.
So their idea of breaking down the sun, right, it was so important to them back then because that was the only way, of course, well, they say we'll tell time and days, for example, was, yes, the sun, as you guys see. And they worshiped the sun so much that they gave the sun the idea, not an idea, well, decided to call the sun, well, of course, a god. And that god's name was
Ra. Okay. A sun god.
So that question of how did it do the years and how did it do the days and months, for example, well, they use, as you guys know, these two, yes? So for time, they use the sun. And for years, they use the star, and specifically Sirius. And we are thankful for the Egyptian people because, well, they came up with this excellent and lovely adventure, yes. They made, of course, this was their version of what we would call our calendar. And this all started, of course, with the Egyptian calendar, as we see. And the Egyptian calendar, of course, was not just one part of our history of how we tell time, for example. It evolved from this Egyptian calendar all the way over here to the Julian calendar.
Right. Traveled to Europe and it became the Julian calendar.
And then back down here, it went all the way to what you guys know now as the Gregorian
calendar.
Yes.
From Rome. Okay.
So it all started with the Egyptian people coming up with that calendar idea all the way to what we know today as our Gregorian calendar, 365 days. Finally.
A surprise, Brian.
Yeah, but wait. All of these doesn't really have a name that I know, but all of you guys should know that all of these put together makes our solar calendar.
Solar calendar. Oh, like the sun, solar.
So if we didn't have a solar calendar, like you guys have, special days of the year, for example, what if there actually was no calendar at all?
What if we didn't know the days or the time
No calendar
or the years?
at all. None. None.
What's gonna happen?
Well, you would. Probably will die from food, for example, not having enough food, of course. Well, other things as well. Maybe you just would sleep forever. And of course, well, as you guys are crying down here because it was someone's birthday yesterday, you wouldn't have a birthday. And, well, because you wouldn't know and you'd be sleeping too much, of course, you'd wake up as a skeleton. Not enough food, not enough time. But you
Not
would
even
lose your special days.
Halloween.
No Halloween. Yes, all of you guys are excited for Halloween today and tomorrow. Yes, if some of you are yesterday. Yes. So we are thankful for that. Yes, solar calendar, because we can actually tell, well, when we need that time, for example, or when's my friend's birthday, when John's birthday, when's Mary's birthday, for example. And of course, we're thankful for, yes, the Egyptian people who first came up with the Egyptian calendar. And what we'd like to say today, we'd like to say thank you to the ancient Egyptians for being the calendar inventors. Yo! Yes. But of course, the ancient, Egyptians, of course, just came up with a small part because in, of course, our universe lesson, of course, we have all these great people, of course.
Wow.
But did they study just the calendar, or did they study other different parts of the universe? Well, as we look and we see that the universe has just, well, not one thing, but as you guys see, it has, of course, the hot sun. Ooh, yes. Or is the image actually, well, is the sun actually, and well, we'll say our galaxy is something like this. It's pretty cool. I don't know how they got the picture, right?
Yeah. How do we find this out, though?
But better yet, our Earth.
Right.
What does it look like? Is it actually a marble look shape? Is it just that little circle? Or did it all just happen with a big bang? Well, today we'd like to introduce you to that next person who did study all of these theories, because in our universe lessons, as we like to describe to you today, we are going to introduce you to this next scientist of the stars. And that scientist for today, and for you guys today, special just for today, is to be continued. Timmy, you thought it was to introduce another person? Well, all of you guys can, of course, well, that was our volume 0, as we say. As we continue to study more about that universe, we know, of course, that there are so many things we don't know. That galaxy, nebula, comets, stars, planets, hot stuff, hot weather, all these different chemicals and whatnot is flowing in there. It's so important, of course, well, to our daily lives nowadays. And we'd like to see all of you guys next week for our volume 1 this coming week. Make sure you tell your folks, sign up. You guys can go to the site. Maybe we'll give you that information here. We will see you next week. And don't forget, you can do this thing too. Wait a minute, what is this? No. What is this? What is this thing? Wait. It was just a picture of a sun moving across the sky.
The sundial or the nova.
Brought to you by TANQ Global. You can actually make your own Sundial Creation at home. Woo! Check it out. What do I need? What do I need to use? Well, we'll give you that description later. Hopefully you guys will get the PDF version somewhere in your email. But yes, thank you for watching today, guys, and we will see you next time.